Hetapu, Namaste, Assalamu alaikum, Haru Nefer, may Buddha bless you, Grand Rising. This is Qesankh Keperu with another exciting video for you. In this video, we're going to be talking about the non-player character as it pertains to magic. But before I do that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. And if you want to know more about my spiritual teachings, you can scroll down below, click on the links, and download a free ebook and start reading up on more of my spiritual wisdom. However, if you want to follow that rabbit down the rabbit hole, just reminding me at my pharmacy, there's a woman who has a tattoo of a rabbit. And every time I come there, we get to this discussion about the rabbit hole. But anyway, if you want to know more about our spiritual teachings, you can go down that rabbit hole and become a Patreon supporter for as little as $1, $5, or $20 per month. It's up to you. You can contribute whatever you want, and you can cancel at any time. You get exclusive access to instructional videos, videos on the esoteric, videos that will teach you how to create a spirit that can protect you, videos on proper breathing exercises. Oh, wait, I got a call coming in. Where's that darn thing? One second. Who's that call? Oh, yeah, she calls when I'm busy, of course. Videos that teach you all about self-hypnosis to curb, your overeating habits or smoking or any other type of addiction. Videos on how to do lucid dreaming. And if you are a $20 supporter, you'll get all your oracle readings for free. So Patreon supporter today. Last but not least, share this video with family and friends so I can get the revolution started. So Haru Nefer, how are you? So I wanted to get into a little bit of a deeper dive on a concept that has made its way around the esoteric community. And it's called the NPC, or non-player character. And it's a term that has been adopted from the gaming community. I'm not a gamer, but from the gaming community for magic. Now, I call it the non-principal player, the NPP. And essentially what this is basically, as with video games, you'll play video games, and then the background, you'll see characters walking around. There was a Bruce Willis game I used to play a long time ago. This is when gaming started to really take off, and I love that game so much. I tried to reach the heights, and it was this futuristic city, and Bruce Lee had to escape from the city. And you would see like people on the street, and he would run through the crowd and go underground into the sewer system. And they were like these, I forgot what you call them. These, let's say for lack of a better word, zombies or creatures, dwelling in the sewer system. You had to avoid them and things of that nature, right? But every now and then you had to fight a character. And each character had a special skill set, and you had to overcome them. Like one character could be good with axes, another character could be good with a spear. But the thing was, the characters that you saw just hanging around in the background or walking the streets were called the non-player characters, or the non-principal characters. And as far as coding is concerned, they're not meant to do much but just to walk around and just to populate the environment. Well, the same thing holds true with our world. We know that this world exists only because of us. Quantum mechanics tells us that reality doesn't exist apart from the observer. So you are the observer. When you observe the world, just like in the video game, how you see how the pixels put together the scenery. So if you turn left and you turn right, the scene is being created as you move the controller. And this is the same thing that's happening in our real world on the magical scale, is that you may walk down the street, and as you're walking down that street, each block is being created instantaneously. I just got back from a flight, and I was on the plane, and I remember something had happened, which I felt was a bit embarrassing to my person. And on the flight, I had to remind myself, I said, well, it's really, that person really doesn't exist anymore because I have no contact with them. And this is what you must understand about the world you live in, which is Maya, an illusion. When you're not in contact with your friends, family members, or let's say you're sitting at home by yourself, they no longer exist. They only exist when you come in contact with them. And this is what we talked about with time dilation, but that's a subject for another video. I can get into that. But you as the manifester, because you are a manifesting machine, you manifest. You only manifest them when needed. Otherwise, they truly do not exist. They're not part of your matrix. So as I was flying back on the plane, I'm sitting there thinking about how embarrassing a situation that is. And I had to remind myself that that situation or that woman does not exist. So I should not feel really embarrassed because there's nothing that can come of that. Do you understand? Am I making sense to you? As in a video game, the scenery, the background players, all of that is created by the computer, the CPU, central processing unit, only when you move the joystick to have a perspective on it, then it becomes created for you. It would be impossible for that machine to create the total environment from which you want to play all at once. So to conserve memory power, it creates those scenes when you have a perspective on it, when you turn left or turn right. It digitally creates those right away. And that's what happens in our real world, because we are just a vehicle that carries God's consciousness within us. And that when we see something, it's because we created it in a moment of Planck time. Planck time means it's the fastest measure of time possible. It's so fast it almost goes into the past, you know. So you're creating these things. Now the trick is, I was watching this guru who had everything wrong. I don't know where he got his information from, but one thing he was touching upon, and he didn't even know the correct term for it, but was time dilation. And what he was saying is this. He was saying that from the time that the sun hits an object and that light hits your pupils, there's a 7-second delay. And he was citing a study that was done where they show participants different sceneries on cards. And the person would react to what they're seeing, whether it be a building, a flower, a bee, an old building, destruction. And they noticed that before they could show the next card, that their brains had already registered what the next card would be by the emotional reaction. They measured the emotional reaction in the brain. So he was deriving from the fact that there was a time dilation, meaning there was a 7-second delay between the time that light hit the iris and it could identify and process it. But my thing was, how do you not know that's not precognition? Meaning, it may not necessarily be time dilation, but it may be that everything exists already, which we know in 5D. And you know what all the cards are, not just the next one. You know what all the cards are. So we must be aware of that. Because we get caught up in the idea that we're this physical body when we forget and realize that we are consciousness that exists in fifth density or 5D. And in 5D, there is a principle of the singularity, which is everything is one. And it's absent of time and space. So there is no time lag. And I'm sorry if I'm not explaining this properly. But when I say something like precognition, Think of it as like predicting the future, or you can, you are aware of something before it happens. Now, the point I'm trying to make, maybe it's not as eloquently as I would like, is the fact that this so-called guru was talking about time dilation, but again, he didn't know the correct term. I take it back to this. I said, well, not only that, I said, well, it's not time dilation. What you're really talking about is precognition. And if we take it a step further, then we have to realize that there is no external world. So there is no light hitting an object and that light traveling to your eye. That's not happening, because everything that exists and that you're experiencing is happening within here. There is no outside world, which is why in our ancient ancestors in Kemet, Egypt, in Northeast Africa, or what the ancients call Akabulan, God was within and not without, because we knew there was no outside world. And modern science is starting to back this up by saying that there may be an external world that we're interacting with. It may all exist in your mind as synaptic connections. That your mind is putting together patterns and firing off electrons, which give the impression that these things are real, when they're not external solid things that you're interacting with. Neterma Kinu, thank you for the donation. Much appreciated. I love the icon there. Ma'at. So with that said, then the characters that we see in the background, for example, if you, like I went to Target, got out of my car, and I'm looking at people across the parking lot getting out of their car. They are the non-player characters, meaning that they are all, there's no substance to their existence. They exist only as a shell, as background filler. You understand? That's all that they are, is just background filler. Hetepu, Seker. That's correct. That is absolutely correct. They're background filler that are just placed there by you, Neter. Now, if you were to walk up to them and start to interact with them, which you can, which is already predetermined and consciousness knew you would do that, then they're not really non-principal players. They are principal players. But most often, the people you see in the background on the street, in the malls, are non-principal players. They're just background filler that you created so you can have an interaction with. You can have an experience with. And when you are no longer at that mall or that parking lot, they no longer exist. They don't go to their homes. They don't brush their teeth in the morning, as though people will tell you that that's what they do, but they don't. They don't exist, because reality doesn't exist apart from the observer. If you are not observing them brushing their teeth, they don't exist. It's not happening. So, Qesankh, are you saying that the only thing that's real in this reality is you? To a large degree, yes. And that's a hard pill for some people to swallow. And the esoteric community has adopted this term because they realize that it's true, that there are people who serve as background filler, and they're shells. There's no substance to them. You can't have a conversation with them. They are just there for aesthetic purposes. So let's take this a step even further. Why is this important? Why do we as magicians need to understand this? And this is the key. You must understand this. This is why when I have my classes on magic and reality manifestation, this is the prerequisite. This is the dominant belief that you must encompass in order for you to manifest that everything is Maya, nothing is real. Because when you take that into trance, I was writing a paper the other day on why the university education system is so horrible. There are people who are walking around that's touting their PhDs, their master's degrees, and don't get me wrong, it takes a lot of dedication and hard work to do that. But when I went to college, I was like, I'm not being part of this facade. This is some crazy nonsense. And then when I went to study as a priest, my king, the high priest, said that he went to college and he couldn't take it. He had to leave. He said he wouldn't be a part of that madness. And I said, I know how you feel, because they're not educating you. They're miseducating you. So when I see people touting their PhDs, my person feels a type of way about it. So I had to write a paper on why the university system is a wreck. And I can get to that in another video. But I digress. You see, when I speak about principles and things that you need to do and adapt, you must learn the technique of trance. That's taught in every ancient culture. Every ancient culture, the Chinese, Mayan, Hindu culture, trance is taught within those cultures. It's only in Western civilization do they seek to eradicate it. If you notice, most martial arts systems, they don't teach the power of ki or chi. When I studied ninjutsu, art of the shinobi and the kunoichi, I found that they had taken out the mystical art of the hand mudras, the kujikiri. And all of these arts were devoid of these mystical teachings. Why? Because the ruling elite, those that we call the Illuminati, do not want you touching that, because there's great power in it if you understand it. So when I talk about these principles, they mean nothing if you don't take them into a state of trance, where it can be embedded in your core belief system. So in order for you to perform manifestation and magic, you must believe that this world that you see around you is Maya. It's an illusion. That the people that you see are non-player characters or non-principal players. You must believe that. And me telling you that doesn't mean that you will believe it. It is only by taking that into meditation or trance will it really become part of your belief system. And when it becomes part of your belief system, then your mind will, then your brain will rationalize, well, if they're not real characters and everything is Maya, then I can manipulate this world. And that's true. See, the mind rationalizes things in the background that you may not be consciously thinking about. But in order to you to accomplish a goal, the mind has to rationalize whether it's feasible or not. And for me to say, manifest $100, your mind's going to say, I can't do that. But if I tell you, and you take it to trance, and I tell you that all money doesn't really exist, it's all Maya, then your mind will accept it. And then you will be able to unblock the kujikiri, the kundalini energy, so that you can manifest the money. Does that make sense? So if you take into trance the idea that these people are non-player characters and that you control this world, you will be able to create wonders in your life. You will be able to do fantastic things. And I have done those things, and it has freaked me out how powerful we are. And it never ceases to amaze me. But the reason why most people don't get it or are unable to do it is because they don't abide by the magical principles. And I explain this to my classes. The first magical principle is the principle of correspondences. You see, we're taught in Western culture that everything is apples to apples. And that's not true. There is no one-to-one correlation usually in magic. Stop looking for it. You have been taught in such a way where you think cause and effect. It's wrong. Effect comes before cause. Ponder that. And I'm serious. Magic, the results of your magic, to see them manifest, most people look for that one-to-one correlation, that Cartesian logic, that apples to apples. Magic is not like that. Let me give you a case in point. You're driving and you hit another car. And you're saying to yourself, oh, I messed up. The people in the car I hit probably got whiplash. They're going to sue me. So right then and there, you try to use your magic to maybe reverse time or to make it so that you never hit that car. That's a one-to-one correlation. That doesn't work. Magic doesn't work that way. You're using Cartesian logic. You're saying that because I hit that car, that maybe I can use magic to reverse it or to never have that situation happen. No, it's over and done with. It has happened. But what magic can do for you is to make it so that maybe no one was in the car. Maybe the people in that car say it's their fault for stopping and that they don't want to take you to court or anything. In fact, they may want to even pay you. That's what magic can do. But if you're looking for something to an effect of, oh, I'm going to do my magic so that doesn't happen, that didn't happen, or no, it doesn't. That's not how it's going to work. People doing magic saying, I want to win the lottery. Again, that's a one-to-one correlation. You can do magic because you want money, but you have to understand that money can come in different ways. And it's not going to come necessarily through the lottery. In fact, you're making things more difficult for yourself by wanting it to come through the lottery. Again, you're caught up in Cartesian logic. It doesn't work that way. You understand? So stop thinking in those terms and you will see the results of the magic. In other words, we're looking at, when you deal with magic, you deal with probabilities, right? The more you limit your magic, the less likely the probability of it happening in that way or happening at all. So if I say I want a woman who will be devoted to me and love me, that's opening the door to allow the magic to bring her to me in the most efficient way possible and quickest way possible. But if I say I want a woman who will love me for who I am, who has blonde hair and blue eyes, who is tall, 6 foot, who is wealthy, well, now you're stacking the deck against yourself. You have all these prerequisites. You've just limited your magic because you still have that one-to-one correlation thinking. And instead of that, if you just say, I need a partner who's going to love me for who I am and she can be beautiful, and I want her to be beautiful, or I want him to be handsome, then the probability of it coming to you is greater. Because you, as a reality generating machine, scans the realm of probabilities And from that realm of probabilities, you take one that collapses into the singularity, and that's the experience that you will have. If you put so many stipulations on it, then your mind is constantly scanning the multiverse to find the exact situation that you want to happen. I want to be president of the United States within 8 years. Fine. Then it's not going to happen in 8 years. It may happen in your next lifetime because you now said I must be president of the United States. But what did you really want? You wanted power, right? So if you said I want power, I want a position of power, then the magic may make you the next Elon Musk or a powerful general. And when that happens, you'll say, oh, my magic didn't work. It didn't make me the president of the United States. No, it did what it could, what it had. I can't do magic and say, I want Ariana Grande. What's the name, Grande? But it could say, I'll give you someone just as good as her. This is why I tell guys that when they are looking to manifest a mate, I tell them that don't have one itis, meaning don't get caught up in one girl that you want and to exclude all other women. I'm just in love with this one girl. I've seen her. I can't stop thinking about her. I'm like, well, then it's going to be all problems for you then. Because magic is not like one-to-one like that. Could you have her, that one girl? Yeah, you could, but it may take 20 years. It may take another lifetime, an incarnation. You understand what I'm saying? So you have to be very careful and understanding the principles of magic and how it works, or else you won't realize that it is working. And one of the second things about magic, the second principle, was even the principle that I violated and forgot about. And I had to be reminded of it, which is a Sekert principle. Sekert is the god or goddess of cycles. And I remember starting out as a filmmaker years ago and having the hardest time with racism. And Oracle kept saying, yeah, you'll be a filmmaker, don't worry about it. But I was getting rejected after rejected. It was due to racism. I knew it. What I didn't realize is my magic would work in the time and place of its choosing, meaning it wasn't the right cycle. It was not the right cycle for my work to manifest because the industry was bombarded with racism and sexism. And now with the whole diversity movement, the cycle is different now. Now diversity is embraced. Now the Oracle says, okay, time to now manifest things for you. That cycle thing is important. When I met with my astrologer about moving, the first thing he pulled out was the astrology calendar. And he said, August is the best time to move according to the stars. I was like, oh, wow. Okay, deep. Now, I focus on astrology in terms of your character type, how well it meshes. I don't do too much into the cycle thing, but he was an expert in that area. So he says, don't move until August. The stars will align and be fortuitous for you. And I said, okay, great. But we forget about these things. So therefore, if a person were to move right away and experience hardship, even after they did a meditation or a ritual, they would think the magic didn't work. No, your magic works. It's just you did it the wrong. You didn't do it at the right cycle, the move at the right cycle. Because energies have a cycle. Today is Sebek's day. So today is auspicious for doing anything related to your computers, communication, things like that. And we must keep that in mind. Now, with this non-player character, some may get depressed at the notion that they're the only ones that exist in their reality, while others may say, cool. So are you saying I could manifest different things? Yes. Yes. Now, the way you do this is by hacking the matrix. It's all code, you see. And I play this game every time I go out. Like I may say, I'm walking down the street, I'm going to manifest a fireman who will turn the corner or and start walking down the block. I play these games. And if you do it in the right way, it will manifest. Because reality likes to ping you. It likes to let you know that you're in control, that you're manifesting these things. So it'll send you messages. It'll send you synchronicities. But most people ignore them and don't understand their purpose. That you are in the driver's seat, not someone else. Oh, these angels are sending me these synchronicities. No. You're sending you these synchronicities to you. Your higher self is sending them to you. Because it's only you that exists. I was reading a magical book and almost fell out of my seat because the guy in the book said something that I have been saying for years. And he said that the reality that you exist in tends to mirror your personality. And I was like, finally, someone's caught up to what I was always knew. Because I was telling people, I said, people would say, well, why do I always like trip up on things or have problems, or get into weird situations? I said, because your personality is that of a trickster or a funny person. So this reality is going to mirror that. It's going to play with you. Why do I have also bad luck? I said, because you have a bad attitude. So this reality is going to give you bad luck. Mike James, when you are in trance state, do you focus on one particular thing? You focus on that thing that you need at that time, and then you move on. But trance is the key. See, when I talk about hacking the code, I don't talk about numbers or learning software development. Hacking the code for the matrix in our reality are two things. It's emotion and visualization. That's how you rewrite the code, by maintaining a visualization of that which you want and by being excited about it and holding that for as long as it takes for it to manifest. Whatever it is you desire, you first have to embody the emotion of that thing. So if I desire a yacht, I have to keep thinking to myself, what would it be like to have a yacht? How would I feel? How would I act? And if you hold that and you continually do that, then it tells reality that that's what you want. See, reality doesn't change right away. If that were the case, we would be living in chaos. Reality changes over the course of time because it has to be sure that's what you want. It needs to confirm it. Because people are inconsistent. They're thinking about one thing here today, next thing tomorrow, they're thinking about something else. But if you're holding firm to a thought, a visualization, and an emotion, then you're telling reality on a day-to-day basis, this is what I want. Make it happen. And the reality will do so. But you have to stay the course. You can't flip. You can't say one day I want a guy who's black. No, forget that. Next day, no, I want a Latino man. You can't do that. You got to stay with the visualization and the emotion of what you want. And then ride it out. The final thing we come to is you have to be free from outcome. You can't make your happiness dependent on that thing manifesting. You can't. That's a recipe for disaster. You have to say to yourself, I'm happy with or without it. That's the secret. I'm happy with or without it. And that tells reality, all right, this person is ready. Let's manifest this. That's why when I was growing up, I used to hate those songs. I even told my mother once, these are corrupt songs. She never understood what I meant because, you know, I was a child reincarnated from Egypt, Kemet. So I knew all my priesthood teachings. So when I would hear these R&B songs, you are my everything, I'm nothing without you. I'm like, oh, that's terrible. What kind of affirmation is that? That's awful. You mean that your whole existence is predicated upon someone else liking you? You know what bad programming that is? You are my everything. I can't live without you. Oh my God. I was like, whoa. Even as a kid, I knew that was wrong. I said, turn that off. I literally said that. I said, turn that off. That is so bad. My mother looked at me like I was crazy. She did. She's like, what's wrong with the song? I'm like, oh, I can't begin to tell you. Mike James said, you don't have to be entranced the entire day to manifest anything. That was just me. I chose to do that. You can be entranced for 30 minutes and manifest something. So don't think it's about how long you spend in trance. It's not necessarily. There are people who just happen to know the right formula naturally and spend 5 or 10 minutes in trance, and then they manifest a new mansion, you know? So it could come that quick, you know? But the last thing I want to leave you with is understand that you are in a reality that has a theme. Like, for example, you may be placed in a reality where the people are in peril and humanity is in trouble because there's a gigantic volcano that's going to wipe humanity out. That narrative, that thread has to play itself out. You cannot change that. There's no amount of you meditating or manifesting that's going to make that volcano disappear. It's going to stay there. That's the reality that you have chosen to deal with. It's like Tahuti will come to you and say, okay, you're going to be reincarnated. You're going to be reborn again for the millionth time. Where do you want to go? Okay, let's see. This world has a gigantic volcano that's killing everybody. This world has a meteor that's going to hit the planet and destroy everybody on Earth. This one has an alien invasion. This one has these crazy people group called the Illuminati. This one has elves and magicians. This one is caveman days. Where do you want to go? So you get to pick. You even get to pick your family. But remember, though, if you pick, you have to live out that thread, that narrative thread. You can't change it. If you decide that you want to go on a world that has a meteor about to hit Earth, it's going to hit Earth, and it's going to wipe humanity out, you included. Now, people are saying, well, aren't you God? Can't you do something about that? Yes, you are God. But as God, you chose to experience something and everything. Something and everything. So Tahuti goes, okay, you've already experienced the meteor hitting the Earth and destroying all life, and you died on that planet. How was that? Was that cool? Was it terrifying? All right, wait a minute. Let's go to the next one. How about this one where dinosaurs still exist but are eating all humanity? Let's put you in that world and see how that works out. So you manifest in this world where you have Tyrannosaurus Rex chasing people in the streets and eating people. Or you may go to a planet that has the planet of the apes. You can't change that. You can't get rid of those apes. They're there. But you can change other things. Because God wants to experience every scenario that could possibly be. God wants to experience what would it be like to be on a planet that's being invaded by aliens who eat people, who eat humans. Let me manifest that. I'd like to experience that. And then Tootie comes to you and say, well, guess what? You're going to a planet where there's an alien invasion and you're going to be eaten by an alien. And your higher self says, will I spiritually grow? Tootie says, yes, you will. And your higher self says, awesome, sit me down. That's how it works. All right. There may be a planet where you're needed because you have a lot of spiritual wisdom. Tootie says, yeah, you need to go to that planet because they don't have any sages or gurus. So we're going to send you down there and you're going to be the Moses of that planet. You're like, cool, send me down. And Tootie tells you, now I know that meteor hitting the planet and burning up was pretty bad, but you have to understand, you live for millions and millions of incarnations. You will be born again, again, and again, and again, and again to infinity. So don't worry about if you are in a world where you're down on your luck. Because chances are your next lifetime will be a lot better. It all evens out. You guys have liked this video, hit the like button. If you are in the position, please donate to the channel. Your donation would be appreciated. So I've got a lot of work I got to do today. And I apologize that I haven't made a lot of YouTube videos lately. It's because YouTube has been driving me crazy. They have not been sending out notifications. They've canceled. They actually canceled the channel I was trying to start. You know, imagine like making all these videos and putting things together and then it gets canceled on you. You know, YouTube's decide, the algorithm decide that I don't want this video up and they take it down. And it's so exhausting dealing with these algorithms in YouTube, and YouTube doesn't have a good customer service where you can call them and say, well, why did you take my video down? Like what community guideline did it violate? It doesn't tell you that. There's no customer service you can call. You know, I'll put up a video that got 13,000 views. Woke up the next day, YouTube deleted the video and then shadow banned the channel. That essentially just killed what I was trying to do. So just understand, it's very difficult when you're dealing with YouTube here. They just, you know, it'd be different if they told you what you did wrong or what, you know, exactly you can do to correct the situation with. But many times they don't. And they're a lot better than they used to be, because it used to be that when you did something that they felt violated the community guidelines, they would take the video down and give you a strike. Just like that. Now, at least they'll just take the video down and give you a warning. So that's a lot better than before. Anyway, I want to thank you for tuning in. This is Qesankh Keperu, son of Ma'ant Tahuti. Ma'ant is the beautiful goddess, Heteru, and the goddess that guides me in my daily life. And that's Netzerdak Medusa. Until my next video, Amen Ra.